What does the endgame of Path of Exile 2 feel like as SRS or Summon Raging Spirits, which, my friends, in mostly solo self-found gear. I have to point it out to you. Welcome back to the channel. Finally, I made my way to the endgame of Path of Exile 2. Yes, it took me a long-ass time. Am I super thrilled to be in the endgame? Not at all. Yes, there are some improvements. As you can see, Atlas looks a bit more 3D. It looks kind of interesting. Yeah, they have changed the system of how you obtain waystones. The game is a little cropped up. It's stitched up from these acts that are the normal acts, the first three normal acts over here. Then the following acts are literal repeat of the previous acts. Literal repeat. Yes, your build is stronger. Yes, the progression is rather smooth. It depends on your build, of course, if it's not a meme build, if it's a rather powerful build. But it's same. Even in Path of Exile 1, I know what you're gonna say, oh Gyro, but in Path of Exile 1 you also repeat through the acts. However, mate, story changes. Maps that you revisit even change as well a little bit. So it doesn't feel exactly the same narrative. Here it does. And the end game, you just end up at this ziggurat in front of this map. And yeah, it's just waystones, so just Bob's your uncle, try and traverse through these things, continue going on, unlocking the things, go towards the towers. And will I do it? Probably. I probably will do it, but because it felt like a long slog on this Switch for me, I don't think that I'm going to continue pushing, let's say, my monk or let's say my ranger to the same level. I think all I'm gonna do is have fun exploration of different builds and permutations of the builds that you might be interested in, and I certainly will be interested in, rather than going through the first three acts and then repeating the acts again and then trying to go through slowly through each one of these maps. There are no maps anymore, there are waystones now, and you obtain these waystones as random drops. As you are progressing through the campaign, you start getting those waystones, and then you use them in this map device. However, if you played Path of Exile 1, you know that each map is of a specific tier, as well as it tells you where you're going. It is a map for a specific location. Here, however, and I think it's an improved system, possibly, so that's a good thing about the endgame, is that those waystones, they are simply nameless waystones of a specific tier. And I'm only scratching the surface, of course, and I'm only in tier 1. So you can ultimately start from this ziggurat central location, choose where you want to go, essentially, yeah, to the connected areas, the ones that you have already unlocked, and I only just started unlocking them. So you can choose to go to Sulfuric Caverns because I've just unlocked Hidden Grotto, and that's where you put in your Waystone and any other presumably modifiers that will probably be added further as you progress a bit further in the game. I'm only speculating because that's how Path of Exile 1 works, and that's when you can press Traverse, and it will basically open the portals and take you there. So they changed a little bit, they re-architected this, which I think is a more user-friendly, more logical system. However, does the endgame make me super excited? And do I can't wait to complete this first quest of doing the 10 maps of tier 1 and then see what's further and start farming pinnacle bosses? Absolutely not. That's also not how I play. I would now, having achieved this and reporting to you on a few other items that I'm about to talk to you about, I think I will just go explore other builds. That would be more fun for me. You can go all out damage spec of the Witch until about maybe level 55. 60 is probably a bit late, but say level 55. You can go all out damage, not a single node in defenses. However, you do need to switch towards, do a little respect there, and switch towards defenses, not just minion damage. Start investing into your energy shield, into your mana, and into block chance even, if you're considering to run with a shield for later. If you don't want to be dying as much as I have, and don't want to be one-shot as many times. So this is sort of the idea for you. Build guide related, and please come for the build guide specifically, but I would not take the defensive node, very popular defensive node, Mind Over Matter. I would not take it until you have really a big mana pool, relatively big mana pool, other defensive layers such as decent energy shield, and after you have kind of gotten into the groove of playing properly with leading the way but not face tanking for your minions. Because a lot of this, so this is a massive shield, basically mana becomes your shield. However, for SRS Witch, you are very much, well, every class, every spec relies on dishing out damage. But SRS Witch, I would dare say even more so, because we are rather skinny. We have no other defensive layers. We're not freezing mobs like Monk does, for example. We're not shocking them like Deadeye Ranger does. So for us, casting, creating more of those Raging Spirits, making sure that we are constantly casting is critical, very, very important. And if you are in that heavy damage, environmental damage, lots of AoE going on, something like later areas of Utsal, let's say area on cruel difficulty, you will be out of mana all the time, which is why I don't recommend taking Mind Over Matter until later on. Of course, it's a very important point, but later on. Don't worry about it straight away. What to watch out for and what kills you in the end game and as a close lead up to the end game. Being surrounded and not using rollout while you still could before things surround you. Basically dying to physical damage bashing by the group when you didn't roll out of the circle. You need to always watch out for those situations. That is literally just about tactical positioning. Poisons and dots will kill you all the time. There is one particular mini boss fight in Utsal, and if you are playing the campaign, you know of that fight, even if you've done it on normal only, not on cruel just yet. You are surrounded, you are fighting that poisonous venom kind of viper girl, as well as being surrounded by her guards who start shooting poisonous darts randomly. I died God knows how many times then. Like 1/3 of the total number of my deaths was from that fight. So poisons will kill you. And then one-shots and massive boss hits, as well as if you neglected some bloated monstrosity that explodes upon death and were too close to it, you will also die. Watch out for those. In gearing, Spirit is king, in my humble opinion, because you're a minion build, you are very much reliant on minions, and you need Spirit to summon minions. Energy Shield is also king, because we realistically, with this kind of build, with these talents, with the talent tree available to the Witch, we kind of don't have access to too many life-increasing nodes. And gearing for the Witch, unless you go full-on armor and not Energy Shield as you are meant to, as a Witch, if you are not doing something like that, something abnormal, let's call it, then you will not end up with massive life pools and massive armors, which you might choose to do so, but I think it's a lot more logical, and by design, I think Witch would benefit from a bigger mana pool as a half a shield, basically, as well as the energy shield rather than life. So Spirit is king, energy shield is king, and then any items that have plus minion skill gem levels are ultimate king of them all. I've seen that on Rattling Scepters, so pick up all Rattling Scepters that you can find, because I was quite lucky early in the game to find a Rattling Scepter that had +2 to all minion skills, which basically made me much stronger. My minions were eating up everything. And then I was even ignoring some of the blues that are dropping in front of you. You sometimes just, as you know, you just can't be bothered picking up every blue item, can you? Well, this Rattling Scepter drops. I pick it up, I choose to identify it, and it turns out to give +4 levels to all minion gems. That's massive, right? That's massive. So do not ignore that, especially as a SRS Witch. So that's my advice for you for endgame and lead up to the end game, 100%. Now, what about other gear? So what about other gear? Well, listen, especially as you approach the end game, I feel like if you want to progress from tier 1 maps to tier 2 maps, etc, etc, I'll be fine in tier 2 maps with this gear. But if you want to push further into this, I'm gonna say, like, don't hate me, but I'm gonna say relatively boring end game, in my humble opinion. I just don't get a kick out of it, but yeah, everyone is different. If you want to keep pushing, and if you want to progress through tier levels, if you truly want to explore Atlas and go to the far towers and start going there, of course I haven't, but it's pretty clear what we're doing here, then you kind of need to start buying gear from PoE2.com /trade. You need to Google for it, go there and start looking for the gear that has Spirit, has high energy shields, things that basically people who are already farming those higher tiers, that they have put up for sale. I spent a lot on items. I spent a lot on leveling items, a lot of those that have been retired, so to speak, now. So I actually, upon reflection, I think that you'd be better off saving the currency and simply going to the trade website and simply spending it on buying the right stuff, as opposed to trying and hoping to make some of this yourself. That's a general advice. But these are my thoughts of the early end game of Path of Exile 2. I am not super enthused. It's not the situation where I would have arrived at a destination and was like, wow, can't wait to dive deeper and plot my way to that tower. Not really. I can't wait to try a different build now. Quite honestly, I can't wait to try a different build. And we all play differently. Some people would just do that, while others would diversify, and I would diversify. Again, thank you for watching, especially if you watched the whole video. There are only a few of you. I can see it in the statistics of the YouTube channel. I really appreciate you. Give the video a quick like, come back for more, and talk to me in the comments down below. How do you play? Is exploration deeper into the end game is what's of interest to you and what you do? Or would you like to see more builds from me and further thoughts? And final thing is, of course, the wrap up for the Summon a Witch of my taking, inspired by Raxa's build and simplified vastly, is coming. It's going to be a separate video, but we are back at work. It's not holiday season anymore, which is why these videos are not pouring on you like they used to every second day. But they're coming. So thanks for watching. Stay subscribed, like the video. I'll see you next time.